All right, hey everyone. I wanted to talk a little bit about paper. Um, for this class, I would like for you to use um, a pretty decent illustration board, not illustration board, but illustration pad. Um, Something like this or Bristle. Bristle, Bristol, is going to be like cardstock. It's going to be better than like working in your notebook. A lot of students try to do all their homework in a little wire bound notebook and then they tear it up and then all the frayed edges. It doesn't look professional. If you're working in a notebook like that with the rings, with the wire, don't tear it out. Just take a picture of it and don't show me the rings because I don't want to see them. Um, it feels cheaper. Although I do have some examples of people doing it with marker, but don't show the rings. So I have different kinds of illustration board. This one has a little bit of a rougher surface. Excuse me. It is good for catching pencil or anything that's rough that needs to be transferred, like by drawing, where the roughness of the surface pulls the color or um, pigment off of the crayon, colored pencil, brush, whatever. That's one way of working. I don't, I would use this for graphite, but I would not use it for other things. There's always exceptions. Um, my preference is illustration board that is smooth. Like, this is like baby's butt kind of smooth. I like to draw very fast because time is money. The faster you are, the more you can earn, yada, yada, yada. I like being able to draw a line and not feel like the paper is slowing me down. And that's how I feel working with this rough stuff. Um, and because of that, I've largely made the switch to Yupo and synthetic paper. This is not really paper, it's plastic. And it's really weird for people to get used to at first because it's so smooth and slick and you can't do much. It, it's kind of tricky to learn to work with, but I'll show you some examples. Um, with these kind of um, pads, the other thing too is you can do your drawing in pencil and you can take your paper and put it through a printer like an inkjet or a photocopier at school. You can just put it in the extra paper slide and transfer your drawing to the board so you don't mess up your original drawing. I do that a lot, and I'm going to show you an example here in a minute. Um, but I will put this through my printer and then paint on it. And the reason I have it small is because of doing demos for students and whatnot. I don't want the demo to take super long. So that's why I work small. And in general, I draw small quite a bit. And you'll see my examples where I'm kind of drawing on paper that's like this size, you know, just because it's small, it can fit in your pocket and it doesn't take long. But I'm able to change size, bigger, small, whatever I'm working on. This is basically my favorite stuff. This is called Yupo. Like I said, it's that plastic paper. It's pretty expensive, so I really don't recommend you buy this unless you're very, very serious. There are smaller versions, and maybe you may want to try that. You can also buy a little um, aluminum square of Yupo, just one single paint thing. It's on aluminum to try it out if you wish. But I'll show you why that really works. Um, this is drafting vellum. I use this a lot for tracing because it feels better than tracing paper. Like you can abuse vellum a little bit more, erase it, put it through a copier. Whereas this stuff, you can do some of that, but it doesn't hold up as strong. And this is translucent enough that you can use it to trace. You know, you can put your photo, your reference, or whatever underneath it and do your tracing over it. I use it now mainly to keep my paint wet. I put my paint on top of vellum and I put a wet paper towel underneath it. And that's how it keeps the paint wet for a longer period of time. There's different brands of vellum. They don't really, I don't think it really makes a difference which one you get. Like the school had these where I was teaching, so I have a bunch of these for free. But this is all I've really seen at the stores. Like this one you could find at Office Max. This one you'd find at an art store. Okay. Um, and when you draw on Yupo, there's like two kinds. Yupo is synthetic paper. It's recycled plastic. It's like the same stuff that they make PVC pipes out of, but it's just rolled out flat. And I like to use a pencil. Um, I used to like watercolor pencils where you just add water and it makes the pencil bleed like watercolor. So that's what this is here. And I also use markers that have acrylic ink, like graffiti markers, because those you can add uh, rubbing alcohol and it will isopropyl alcohol and it will blend your marks so it looks more like painting. So I have some examples of what you smudge that marker with. And I'm just using like a paper towel with a little that's been dipped in alcohol on Yupo paper to blend my marker. And you know, it has a little bit of a funky smell, both the alcohol and the paper when it gets a little bit hot. But I think it's like my favorite surface. Um, I buy Yupo in a big stack of like 100. Like when you buy copy paper, that's why this stuff is so big. Um, I'll buy it like the large size, and you can just see like the whole range. This is just one fat marker, and I'm just using the paper towel to blend it and get a bunch of grays. It's just fun to draw with. It's my favorite surface. And I recently I started painting on it too. Like this is acrylic gouache, 20-minute pose. It holds up, but it's like watercolor paper, and it doesn't. I don't know. It just for me it's my favorite. Um, this is my first stack of Yupo, and I ran out of it, and I switched to another brand called MGX, but it's the same stuff. It's meant for menus when you go to restaurants because people will spill drinks on it, and it just it holds up. Um, this is just basically some tone paper, and I took my drawing here and I scanned it and I printed it on this paper. Now I can start doing all kinds of stuff to this paper, marker, um, colored pencil, and bring this to life, right? But using the paper as a starting point. Here's another piece where I took my drawing and I scanned it and I printed it on this large sheet of tone paper. And you just add dark black marker and white uh, white paint, white colored pencil, and you can create different kinds of scenes very quickly. And I've been trying different colored markers. They don't always work out well because it's just kind of sometimes unpredictable how they turn out. But this is just that large paper cut down to smaller sizes. So I'll be like drawing 2 drawings on one page and then I just cut it in half. But I really like the way these turn out. They really they really speak to me as far as a working method. And the white is just rubbed out, you know. It's like being able to erase ink when you're using this kind of paper, which is why I enjoy using it. Because if you can erase your mistakes, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be perfect. So you become less scared when you draw, and things just turn out better when you're less scared. And that's really the whole point of this particular discussion on paper. So hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to get across, and just use good paper. I do not want to see anybody turning anything in on like lined notebook paper with the 3 holes for the ring binder. I do see that from time to time, and it's really not professional. It pisses me off to see it. But, if you're just trying to get an idea out of your system, I can understand that. But regular paper is totally fine for this. Like, these are just brush pens. You just slap it together and play with the tool that you have, your drawing tool, until you totally understand it. Totally understand what it can do and what it can't do. And get to the point where you can make it obey your will. And if you can't, get to the point where the accidents that happen, you don't mind them because they look kind of natural, So that's what I have to say about paper and ink. Okay? I hope that helps.